In Parshas Haazinu, the Torah is compared to both tal and matar. It says tal is dew, matar is rain, and the Torah says Ya'arof kamatar likchi. My teachings will drip like matar, like rain. But the word Ya'arof, which I just translated as drip, is probably not really drip. It means to break one's neck. So they will fall with tremendous force, like rain. Tizal, but they will drip softly, katal, like dew, imrasi, my statements. So the Torah is compared to both rain and dew. And Rashi says the following, that the Torah is like matar, it's like rain, shehu chayim la'olam, that brings life to the world, and tal, hakol smeichim, everybody likes dew. So rain, not everybody likes. For example, a person who has a pit in his yard, a cistern that he just dug filled with wine, and he hasn't yet had a chance to seal it up. In California, it doesn't rain so often, and suddenly it starts to pour with rain. It will ruin an enormous amount of value for him. Or a person who is traveling, and especially in olden times, I mean, when a person was traveling, on dirt roads with a horse, you could be stuck for quite some time with your wagon and your animals if you got stuck in the mud. So rain does not necessarily bring joy and pleasure to everyone, but dew does, and the Torah is compared to both of those, and that's interesting. Apparently, we need both of those. And the question is why? I mean, why not just compare the Torah to the dew? So the Maskil LeDavid, Rav David Pardo, asks this question. He says, well, dew will not grow any fruit. A person will not grow any crops if you just have dew. You need the rain. So as unpleasant as it may be sometimes, that's where growth comes from. So that's his first statement. And he adds a second idea, that the Torah needs to be compared to rain because should a person be undeserving, then the Torah actually is damaging to them. You see, just like rain will produce all kinds of wonderful growth, but it also makes the weeds grow, similarly, Torah can be used by people for very, very negative things. If a person himself is a weed, if that person hasn't refined himself and become a good person, then the Torah that he learns will simply be used to further negative goals and not positive things. So we find that the Torah is both dew and rain. In one's Torah study, very often, the dew is very appealing. The interesting things that are pleasant and inspiring. But then you get to teachings in the Torah that might threaten you. They might break your neck. They might tell you that you're not seeing the world the right way. You woke up in the morning feeling a certain way. And so you read something in the Torah and it says, smile at other people and be kind. And all these things sound very nice and very easy and very pleasant. What a wonderful religion. And then you find things in the Torah that challenge you and they make you think twice. And they say, just because you live in the 21st century and everyone thinks a certain way, maybe there's another truth. And there are people who consider themselves students of the Torah, who whenever they come across something that threatens or challenges them, they dismiss it. They dismiss it. They just say, well, I don't understand that, I'm not learning that, I'm not paying attention to that, or perhaps they even have the audacity to reinterpret it in ridiculous ways. But never once do they consider the idea that the Torah has a message for you and not the other way around. Ya'arof kamatar likchi. In order for the Torah to bring growth to your life, it has to question some of your basic preconceived notions. That's how we grow. We live with questions. We live with feelings that are one way and the other and contradictions, and we sort them out. It's interesting to me how people can find things in the Torah that don't make so much sense to them superficially, and therefore they question the Torah. To me, I've always felt that if everything in the Torah sounds like something I would have written anyway, then I don't even want to read the book. One of the greatest proofs that it's written by an infinite God who is far wiser than me is that there are some things in it that are so perplexing and confusing that I can't make sense out of them without a lot of work, and even then it sometimes remains perplexing. If it was really written by God, you would have to have that sort of material. If everything in the Torah sounds like it was just written by a nice guy across the street, then that's not enough for me. That's not a book that God would have written, and it's not something that's going to change me and develop me and force me to question everything that I stand for and believe in and grow to the next level. It is when we are prepared to understand that the Torah is both rain, which is tough sometimes. It's not always the easiest thing for our travel plans and for our finances. It may fill up your pit of wine, your cistern of wine with a whole bunch of water and ruin that. But it's really what's best for you. It's what's going to bring you growth. It's what's going to bring you intellectual, spiritual, emotional fulfillment, accomplishment in this life. It is then that a person will have a relationship with Torah. Ya'arof kamatar lechi. Part of the experience of Torah is that it forces you to question things. It forces you to live with contradictions and questions and challenges. They say about the great Chassam Sofer that he used to ask his children questions, and often he would wait days before offering answers to his children. He said it's very important to learn how to live with questions, how to grapple with questions, how to be challenged in something that you believe in or you know. It's not necessary to have an answer right away. It's not necessary for us to dismiss the Torah just because we don't understand something. God is for sure right, and we're for sure not, if we really have it right. If we know what God is saying in the Torah, and we feel differently, then it's us who need to adjust, not the Torah. But that process of adjusting is challenging, it's difficult, and it's magnificent. It causes growth, it causes change, it allows a person to really challenge their beliefs. Avraham HaIvri, the first Jew, Abraham the Hebrew, lived in a world where everyone believed one thing, and he stood on the other side. And that's something we all have to experience. It's necessary for us to come with one set of beliefs. Abraham used to worship idols when he was young, says the Rambam, along with his family. And it was necessary for him to go through that process of beginning to intellectually refine and then question everything he'd known. And if we never question the things that we know, even the true things, if we never allow those things to be questioned, they never will be refined. And therefore, as much as the Torah is like dew, which brings such joy, there are parts of the Torah that threaten and challenge and question, and that is when we really, really grow.